Have you ever had a dream that has come true? How about a nightmare? Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of Stories Told by Us. I'm Mariana.
And my name is Ron. Today we're gonna be talking about dreams. Have you ever had dreams that become true? Dreams like premonitions or things like that.
Or how about reoccurring dreams?
Recurring dreams. So, today I'm talking about a personal experience that happened to me when I was little. But I was about 10 years old, I think. Actually, I've had a few recurring dreams. Have you had recurring dreams before?
I have had one that I can remember when I was probably about the same age, about 10, because my sisters were little.
Okay, well tell me, let me tell you about a couple of mine first, then you can tell me about yours.
Okay.
And then...
I don't really remember mine.
Okay, perfect. So, I've had a few, especially when I was younger, I had a few recurring dreams. A couple that I remember very vividly, I still remember them. I used to live in this house, sleep in this room with my brother and in the bunk bed. So I used to sleep on the top, my brother on the bottom. And just in front of our bed, there was like a wardrobe. Not a wardrobe, it's more like a small walk-in closet. And on there, my dad had some jackets hanging there. It wasn't closed, so it was open, so you could see everything that was hanging in there. And one of the jackets, this is my dream, one of the jackets just kept moving by itself. Just the arm just kept moving up and down, up and down. That used to terrify me. It was so horrible, and I have had it at least 10 times, that dream. It was so bad. And I also had another dream that I was being chased by Freddy Krueger. And I had that dream 5-6 times.
I think anyone that's watched that movie, Nightmare on Elm Street, has dreamt about Freddy Krueger. I've also dreamt about Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, it'd be horrible. But guess what? The dream that terrified me the most was actually the jacket that moving.
Yeah, well, that's super creepy. And did you ever wake up, when you woke up, did you like check to see if the jacket was moving, or check to see if the jacket was still in the wardrobe?
I was terrified of the jacket. Actually, in my dream, I saw the jacket moving, and I used to go to my parents' room, come back with my dad, and the jacket wouldn't move. And in the dream, that would happen like 3-4 times, and this happened every time in every dream that I had of this. The jacket kept moving, and every time I brought my dad in, the jacket wasn't moving anymore. So I was terrified of the jacket.
So when you woke up, did you used to go and get your dad as well?
I did.
In real life?
Yes, I did.
So you basically copied what happened in the dream.
Yeah, so maybe it was the recurring dream. But that's not the dream I was going to talk about. Can you tell me about your dream first? I
don't remember much of it, but I know it happened. I reckon it was about 6 or 7 times I had the same dream. So my sisters are quite a bit younger than me. One's 8 years younger and one's 9 years younger. And I remember when they were both little, so they would have been like 2 and 1 or whatever it was, and I was, 10. I used to dream that some people would come to our house and kidnap us, and we would have to I remember being in the back seat of the car, and I would look out the back window, and my sisters, like initially they would take us all, but then when the car started driving away, I was in the car, my sisters weren't anymore, and they were left behind, and they would be standing it was like an old wooden cabin type house, and they would be crying, and I would be going off with whoever it was, and I would be watching them through the back window, and then I remember there always being a fight with my parents and whoever these people were. And that's all I remember. But I had that dream a lot, like over and over again. Don't know.
It never became true though?
Never came true. We never were kidnapped. My parents never had a fight with any people. Maybe I wanted to be an only child.
Maybe, yeah.
And I wanted them to be left alone somewhere. No, I don't know.
You pay these people to take your sisters.
Yeah. No idea. But I don't remember the dream so much, but I do remember the feeling. Like it just feels so real, like these dreams do, and just feeling like so upset and so helpless that you don't know what to do and what's going to happen next, and it's just like this fear, that you have. and then you wake up sort of going, oh my God, like it's not real, it's just a dream, but you still feel the emotion of the dream, you know?
Yes. That's probably why I remember my dream. Well, my story is a bit different. When I was little, I used to have this recurring dream of me going to the cemetery with, I think it was my mum, someone else I never knew before. And we used to go to the cemetery.
Cemetery is always great.
Yeah, scary. Well,
great.
I was never scared of cemeteries, that's the thing. And I just found them boring, to be honest. Because we had to go visit relatives I had never met before. And put flowers on the headstones and like, it was boring. It's just boring. Yeah, I think my brother and I used to just go and play on the tombstones. That's what we used to do.
I must say though that the cemeteries in Chile, where we're both from, I actually found them scary because I've not read. To be honest, I've had one person die in my life, and that just happened last year. And besides from that, I've had no family members die that were close to me. Like I've had grandparents die, but I was so little I don't remember anything. So I guess in my life I've not really had to go to cemeteries. But I do remember going to a cemetery for some reason. I don't think it was anything to do with me. I might have gone with, I don't know why. But the ones here where we live, it's almost like a nice park, isn't it? Like depending on which ones you go, because there's older ones in like a suburb. There's older ones, and you've got the tombstones, but some of them are like, it's just like a nice park, there's benches, and I don't know, they don't feel scary. But when I went to one in Chile, one of the times that I've been back, it was, for me, super creepy, because everything's really close together, the one that I went to, and like, it's almost like concrete pillars sort of going up, and all the tombs are sort of, they're not like tombstones, like gravestones, they're like little plaques in the walls, you know, and the people are in. And I find it's all different levels, and there's steps and stairs, and I just feel like it's almost like you feel claustrophobic. So it's pretty, I find it's got an eerier vibe than the ones here. Anyway,
I've never been to a cemetery here.
Okay, there you go.
Anyways, this recurring dream happened a few times.
That's why it's called reoccurring.
Yes. You're welcome for the piece of information. Well, it happened a few times, and I was only little, and the scary part was that I went to the cemetery. I don't know if you've made that clear before. With this person I never met before, with my mum.
Oh, with your mum and
this person I never met before.
Yeah.
And I remember very, very vividly every part of the cemetery in this dream, like all the passages that we need to go through, the entry, everything. And at the end of my dream, I got lost. So I somehow got separated from my mum and from this lady I have never met before. And I kept looking for the exit. So I kept going to this place where I thought where the entry was. But every time I went to this place, I could never see it. I could never find it. Like I went there, but the exit wasn't there anymore, or the entry, wherever we came in from, it wasn't there. So it was really, really scary. And that happened 5-6 times in the course of me being between the ages of 8 and 10, I would say. One day this dream stopped, and then we went on a holiday. So this is the creepy part. We went on a holiday to this place called Salamanca in Chile, to a relative we had never met before. And guess what? It was this lady.
The one that was in the...
The one that was in the dream.
Oh, what?
Yeah, well, I never thought I didn't think anything of it, but she was there. Like,
that's weird.
Actually, in the dream, I don't remember seeing her face, but I do remember seeing the back of her head, and it was like an older lady in like her maybe 60s, very white hair, always tied in a bun on the back, and a bit larger because they love bread in Chile. This place called Salamanca in Chile. Actually, it has stories of witches there in the olden days. They say that it's a cave where witches meet, and like I always thought it was a bit of a story to scare kids.
But they still say that now, don't they? Like a lot of the people there are witches still. They say.
That's right,
like
and they meet
practicing witchcraft.
They meet there every so often, and you have to know certain words or codes to be able to get into these caves. Anyways, we went to this place. It wasn't a big city that I remember. It was more like a small town. And I remember it was very nice. Like, it was really nice. A small town, farming everywhere. We used to get goat's milk fresh goat milk delivered to our door every morning, and we used to just walk to the, ¿cómo se dice plaza? Like
a town square.
Like a town square, and we used to walk there. Me and my brother used like 5 minutes away from where we were living, and then staying.
Yeah.
And we used to play video games and come back. Everything was great. And then one day, my mom and this lady decided that we were going to go to the cemetery.
Oh, wait.
Yes.
Before you keep going. So this lady was a relative of your mum or your family that you didn't know. Why did you go on a holiday to stay with someone you didn't know?
Oh, just because it was a holiday. Just as a holiday.
But you knew that person lived there?
We knew the person lived there, yeah. It's like my mum's cousin's cousin, something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We knew it was a nice area, or my parents knew there was a nice area, and we never been there before. My dad was working at the time. Usually he had holidays during that period, but he had to work, and so it was just me, my mom, and my brother that went.
Okay.
We went to the cemetery. By this time, I actually had forgotten all about this dream.
Okay.
By the way, we went to the cemetery, and guess what? It was exactly the same cemetery that I had in my dream. I had the chills. It was like everything was exactly the same. The entry, the passageway we went to go see these people. It was like a bit of a shortcut. And everything that I saw in my dream was a cemetery.
So it was like deja vu.
It was like deja vu. But obviously I did find the exit. I made sure I was always with my mom, because I remembered in my dream that I was going to get lost. So I was always with my mom, and I was only about 10 years old, so I remember I was little. And I think that's probably the creepiest experience I've ever had with a dream.
That is creepy, because I've had lots of deja vu, but it hasn't been a dream and then it's happened. It's just been like that feeling that, oh, I'm sure I've said this before, I've done this before, I've been in this situation, but I've never been able to relate it back to a dream that I've had. So that's
actually
really
I get deja vus all the time as well. And as I said, if you've heard this podcast before, I'm a skeptic about about all these kind of things. And they say that a deja vu is more the long-term memory and the short-term memory getting mixed up. So you get a feeling that you have had this memory from the past when it actually hasn't happened. So that's there
you go. That's a scientific reasoning
explanation for it.
I didn't know that.
Although it's not the final answer, but that's what the theory is.
Okay, there you go. Didn't know that.
I'm sure a lot of people have deja vus. Again, I get them all the time.
Yeah, people do. Yeah.
And I'm a big believer, even though I'm a skeptic about everything. I'm a big believer that we don't use our brain to 100% of its ability.
Oh no, that's actually been proven by research. We only use a very small portion of our brain.
What else? We have read more stories about people getting dreams.
Yeah, so basically, so these are called precognitive dreams. Okay, so these are dreams that basically whatever happens in the dream then happens in the future in your life, usually quite exact. So lots of people have said, obviously, that they've had these they're like premonitions and precognitive dreams, but it's really hard to prove them because this is a dream. So how are you going to prove that you dreamt that? You know what I mean? Like, I could go to the kitchen in 5 minutes and make myself some toast and go, you know what, I dreamt this last night. But I can't prove that. It was in my head while I'm dreaming. Actually, after the Titanic sank, they had thousands of people say that they had a premonition of the Titanic sinking. But they actually did validate, I think, about 19 of them. Don't know how they validated them. I don't know. I've got no idea. But they do say as well that I guess the only way to really determine if precognitive dreams are real or not would be, I guess, to get a bunch of people, do like a case study, and every time someone has a dream, so in that morning, they'd have to write down the dream and date it.
Yes.
And then keep track of that, and then and then when something happens, it's exactly the same, I guess. See it side by side and see if it was real. But you'd have to do it with thousands and thousands of people over a certain period of time to really say, this happens 1 out of 10 people, or you know what I mean? Or this happens 9 out of 10 people, or what?
The things with these dreams, though, like in my experience, you have these dreams and you don't remember all your dreams.
No.
I think your subconscious mind gets repressed a little bit when you're awake, but when you're asleep, that mind can actually run amok again in your brain. So it's not. It can do whatever it wants.
Well, it's about as well, isn't it? They do say that our dreams are our subconscious mind, and it's like fears we have, or insecurities, or anger, or resentment, or whatever it is, or something we're worried about or anxious about, and then our sort of brain tries to sort of analyze it and puts us in situations in our dream because of it. So, but as we were saying, there were 2 famous people in history that apparently had precognitive dreams. The first one was Abraham Lincoln. So Abraham Lincoln being the 16th president of the United States of America. Here in Australia, we don't know too much about. We all know who Abraham Lincoln is. Well, our age people and older probably know. I don't think our kids would know. Do you reckon? No, I don't think so.
No, it's like Lincoln. It's like a T or something.
Yeah. So, but we people know some of the things that he said and that he did, and that he was assassinated. But a lot less is known about some of the more supernatural aspects of his life. So he apparently had some ghost sightings. He had ghost sightings of his son died actually. Before he died, and his wife said that she thought that his name was Willie, I think, that he would come at night and stand at the end of her bed. So there's ghost stories. He's apparently had strange encounters, and he also had some spiritual claims throughout his life. So seems like quite a spiritual man. So what happened is according to Lincoln's friend Ward Hill Layman, 2 weeks before Lincoln was assassinated in 1865, he actually dreamed of a particular room in the White House called the East Room, and there was mourners. So there was mourners, there was soldiers, there was all these people mourning over obviously a body, in the middle of the room. Okay. And this is where ultimately his body would be laying by state after he was assassinated.
Oh, okay.
So in his dream, he was seeing the dead body in the middle and all the mourners, and he asked a soldier who is dead in the White House, and the soldier said to him, the president. He was killed by an assassin.
Ooh.
2 weeks later, he was in a theatre watching a light comedy show, and he was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth.
He shot him. Yes.
Yeah, just 2 weeks later. So, people do claim and say that he basically dreamt or predicted his own death.
Yeah, actually I heard about the story about him predicting his own death.
And along those same lines, he did actually have another dream. So another dream that he had actually just the night before he was assassinated was he dreamt that he was on a mysterious boat or a ship, and he said that he felt as if the dream signified sailing towards a dark and indefinite shore.
Oh.
So, and then the next night, dead. So there you
wow.
go. So who knows? Maybe not. There was also a claim that he had not a dream. We are talking about dreams, but he actually had a vision as well. He was looking at himself in the mirror and he saw something else. And when he told his wife about it, his wife predicted that in the first term or one of the terms of his presidency, he would not get through.
Oh.
So it's like she predicted his death as well.
So it's her fault.
probably explain the wife.
Yes.
Another famous, excuse me, another famous person, an American writer, Mark Twain. He actually had a precognitive dream also. So him and his brother used to work on riverboats on the Mississippi River. And one night, Mark dreamt about his brother's corpse lying in a metal coffin in his sister's living room. And on top of that coffin was a bouquet of flowers and a single crimson flower in the center. So he, had this dream. He told his sister, because it was in his sister's living room, he told his sister what had happened. And then tragically, just weeks later, his brother was killed in an explosion on a riverboat on the Mississippi River. All other people died as well, because it was obviously an explosion in a boat with lots of people. So most or nearly all of the other people that were deceased were buried in wooden coffins. But an onlooker felt pity for whatever reason on Henry, and she raised money with other people in the community, and they got him a metal coffin.
Oh,
so he was buried in the metal coffin, and when the funeral happened, it was exactly as Mark Twain had dreamt. In the living room, exactly everything he had seen is what he had seen, and he didn't organize the funeral. So we could say that his sister, after he told the sister the dream, she remembered or whatever it is. But what else happened, which no one could have predicted? Remember I said there was a single crimson flower on the coffin?
Yes.
Well, that onlooker actually came to the funeral and laid a single crimson flower on the coffin. So there you go. Could it be premonition? So I guess a lot of people say as well that if you have a precognitive dream, without realizing it, you could put yourself in that situation and almost reenact what you had dreamt. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
But I believe you can only do that to a certain extent. If you dream that you're on a plane and you have the plane crashes, you can't make that happen, can you?
No, that's right.
Subconsciously, you would probably, if you're an anxious flyer and you're about to go on a trip in a week's time or in a month's time, you could absolutely dream that because you're scared, you're nervous. So I guess there's the two sides, like everything, two sides of every story. So people believe in precognitive dreams, that I've seen quite a few threads actually on the internet and on places like Reddit where people have had a dream and then literally a day later, weeks later, months later, whatever, it has come to life 100% with all the detail and all the people and everything that they dreamt about is exactly what has happened. So there are people out there that think, yep, absolutely, premonitions are real and precognitive dreaming is real. And then I guess there's the other side of the coin where people think that potentially because, dreams are made up of what we already think and feel and worry about or whatever. So we could have a dream about something that we're worried is going to happen or we know is potentially going to happen, like if it's something to do with your work or relationship or whatever. And then it's almost like you kind of knew that was going to happen. So then you're in a situation, you almost like recreate it without realizing that you have, if that makes sense.
Yes. No, it doesn't.
No?
No, I don't know what you mean.
Like, so for example, if you are doing really badly in a job and you're doing really badly and you dream that you are going to get fired.
Yeah.
And then in a week's time you get fired. It's not necessarily that you've had a premonition of you getting fired. It's just that you already knew that you weren't doing a good job, that someone didn't like you at the work or whatever it is. And so when it happens, it's almost like, well, you kind of already knew within yourself that is the path you were going to take.
Okay, that's right. So that'd be different because your brain fabricates something that you know is going to happen.
Yeah.
But when you have a dream that has nothing to do with anything, but then it happens, like for example, I'm making tea. You're not worried about making tea, but you know that everything happens exactly as the dream that you had before. And that's happened to me a few times actually.
Yeah. Well, it's like your dream though, that's a different story because you'd never met that person before, you'd never been to that town, you'd never been to that cemetery. So that I don't think you can explain.
No.
I don't think it's like, oh well, but I knew I was going to go there for a holiday, so I knew it was going to happen. I think that genuinely is a precognitive dream.
I didn't even know I was going to go there for a holiday.
No. Yeah, absolutely. So I definitely think that is that. Very interesting.
Very interesting. What about you guys? Have you let us know in the comments what sort of premonitions have you had?
Yeah, have you had precognitive dreams? Have they come true?
What's the weirdest one?
Have you had any nightmares that have come true? That would be worse. I would not want the coat to be moving
No.
in the cupboard in real life.
Getting lost in the cemetery that you've never been in before.
Creepy.
It is creepy.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for listening to this podcast today. Remember that we are also on YouTube.
So YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. So wherever you listen to your podcasts, please join us. We're also on Instagram at Stories Told by Us.
If you want to see our beautiful faces and pictures of all the podcasts that we've done before.
All right, guys, we hope to see you. Not see you, we don't see you. We hope you join us next week for episode number 7. And until then, stay safe and have a great week. See you later.
Bye.